Podcast, episode number 9. Ninth episode, Tim. It's been a long time.
It has.
I think it's been 3 weeks.
Oh, you don't need mics anymore?
No, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time and I really miss doing this.
Yeah, anything new going on since we last met?
Yeah, I've had some changes in what I plan to do in the next year.
Really?
Yeah, I might be staying with the same organization but changing my job, which is like a blessing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Also, I don't know, I feel like I'm a lot more social than I was when this all started.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Am I more social? I'm probably about the same, I feel like. But I am definitely more productive.
Really?
Definitely more productive.
How did you get there?
For real, I think the pandemic was, for me, I think I said this in the very first episode that we recorded together, that like, it was like a wake-up call in a sense for me. I know it's like just not being able to do anything, like, you know, I'm not spending money in places that I used to spend money, really, and it just caused me to focus. Whatever, so like, and I'm not eating out as much. Like, I'm not going happy hour or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
well,
like, you can't do that. So.
I've heard that a lot, but me on the other hand, I've been spending a little bit more than usual because I just like shopping. I love clothes.
Yeah.
So like every day I have a package coming in. But I'm about to get on top of that and chill out. But also I've been trying to figure out times to kind of figure out ways to burn time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting a gaming system. I'm thinking about PlayStation or Xbox.
What's up?
Yeah. I'm thinking about like just buying all these things that can kind of like fill up some of this new time I have because I think I was using my time not in the best way in the beginning.
Yeah. I feel you. I know I guess 2 weeks ago now, I promoted my first online show, comedy show. This organization hit me up on Instagram and asked me, hey, we have this platform. Are you interested in doing a show on the platform? You know, it's a good opportunity for you to put some money in your pocket too. I was like, sure, why not? I'll try it. Now, it was cool. The only thing I didn't like really was, when I was doing the show, for some reason I was lagging, like really bad. Like my friend said, because like as people laugh, whatever, it's like Zoom gives those people priority. Now, I don't really know the jargon that he used. That's a big word, jargon. But I don't know what he said, but it's basically, it has something to do with like multiple people making noise at the same time.
Yeah.
Which probably caused me to lag.
Yeah.
A little bit, so that's what I didn't like. But the other thing I didn't really like was that the people that bought tickets, because like there were only like a few tickets that sold to the thing. Right. People that bought tickets, like I don't have their emails. Right. Which is what I asked them before. Like she said, I kind of knew that was gonna happen, but I would have liked to have more control over the people that were on there, at least get their names and emails or whatever. It's like at that point, like I don't have anything now, right? So I brought these people to your platform, in a sense. I brought these people to your platform, and I don't have any control over I can't do my own marketing for them now.
Wait.
At all.
You're bringing people to their platform in terms of people who follow you?
Well, the people that bought tickets, whatever, is like for example, I had a couple of friends that bought tickets to the show. So now this company, since they bought tickets through that website, that company can market to them now, whatever, right? But like I know them, so I can still do the same thing. But people that were on my show that I didn't know, actually one of the comedians that was on the show, he brought somebody to the platform. He sold a ticket, right? So it's like I can't market to his guests that he had now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like that's the only thing I really didn't like, because as I get a bigger of a following, I'm gonna like. I've read that emails is the key, because you're gonna be able to control your audience.
Okay.
So if I have shows, I'm gonna say, and instead of, because not everyone sees what you put on social media.
Right.
Right. Because only like a percentage of your followers will see whatever you post.
Right.
So if I have everyone's email, I can say, hey guys, I'm doing a show online tomorrow. Hop on, whether it's free or whether I'm charging $5-10 a show.
Right.
Right. So I want to be able to essentially I want to be able to email them, right? To let them know what's going on in Roger's neighborhood. But I'm thinking about doing one for my birthday, but I don't know, another show. But this one will be free.
When's your birthday?
June 2nd.
Cool.
So it's coming up.
Really soon.
But I'm still going back and forth with if I'm gonna do it or not. But like I probably am gonna do one, but it might not. Maybe it won't be on my birthday. But
I have this Facebook group. I used to kind of like host this book club for like 5 years straight. Now I turned it into a Facebook group.
yeah.
And so I did an event for my birthday. It was like the first event we had done in like years. So I think you should do it on your birthday. It'll be a good gift to yourself.
You guys do it on my birthday?
It was fun. I felt like I needed to celebrate my birthday in a significant way. So I got to check that out. It was significant. I'll remember that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And maybe I could. Well, trying to think how long will we do this? Okay. Well, maybe I could have some other comedians on there to fill up time too.
Oh yeah.
I'll do that, man. Yeah. Other than that, so I'm probably gonna do another show at some point. But with that said, so as far as neighborhood news goes, I haven't done neighborhood news in a while. So for the next week or so, probably, I'm going to upload the videos that I did in the past of neighborhood news until I compile some more neighborhood news jokes. Right. So, but these haven't been on Dry Cereal TV, which is on YouTube. They're on my personal channel, Roger's Neighborhood.
Okay.
So, but if you guys are watching, you can go to Dry Cereal TV on YouTube and check us out. But with that said, I have a joke. What are the strongest days of the week?
I give up.
Saturday and Sunday. The others are just weekdays.
I appreciate it.
You appreciate that one?
Yeah.
Alright guys.
I was trying to get it.
Alright guys, we'll be right back with neighborhood news, the flashback edition. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. The following program is rated Roger. Thank you for tuning in to Neighborhood News. I'm Roger Haynes. Today's top story. Tinder saved a woman's life while she was stranded in the wilderness. Sometimes all you need is a match. February will be a good month for sky watchers with bright planets and a supermoon shimmering in the sky. NASA's top tip is to look up. Reward offered for person who pulls a tire off of a crocodile's neck. Sources say the crocodile is tired of all the rubbernecking. Alright, this just in. A man on drugs breaks into a pet shop and eats 10 pounds of dog food. Here with the story is Superdad.
Dun 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 dun! A man on drugs breaks into a pet shop and eats 10 pounds of dog food.
I just said that.
Oh. Officials said he tried to flee, but he was arrested on the spot and said, "I'm having a rough day." Hey Roger,
Yes.
how do police officers get rid of flies?
I don't know.
The SWAT team.
It looks like the story is just coming in. A CBS News van was stolen near Yankee Stadium. And here's Superdad with the rest of the story.
CBS News van stolen near Yankee Stadium.
Yes, I know.
It has been recovered, but it was found vandalized. Alright, back to you, Roger.
Thank you for watching Neighborhood News. Have a good night. Or a good day. Or good afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. Alright guys, we are back talking about COVID-19. So, as far as I've seen, there are some states that are starting to reopen, and I think even Maryland started loosening its restrictions. But in Prince George's County and Montgomery County, we're still under a strict stay-at-home order. I believe. What's going on in Baltimore?
So officially, some of the things that I've heard is that Baltimore City is still considered a hotspot, so we still are pretty restricted, but restaurants have started to open. But you can't sit in the restaurants. Yeah, like certain things have started to open, but you just can't use them the way you would always use them.
Yeah.
But like from my opinion and my perspective, I'm seeing more people out. And a couple weeks ago, it was like everybody just started not wearing their mask at one time. And I live in a predominantly white part of my neighborhood. I can't even say it's like a white part of the city, it's just a white part of my neighborhood. And it seems like mostly white people not wearing masks.
Yeah. Like they just decided this thing was over.
I kind of feel like they got bored, or maybe they're following the lead of Trump, who kind of thinks this whole thing is a hoax and he refuses to wear a mask.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes I ride my bike through the hood and I see people like not wearing masks, having barbecues. I've been seeing that. So like, it's been really interesting. I did some things yesterday that I probably would have judged people harshly for 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. What did you do yesterday?
So me and a friend, we went for a bike ride, and then we stopped by the park, and we ran into some people we knew, and they call themselves a quarantine crew. So they've been quarantining with each other since the beginning. Like they're like a social group of people, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna hang out with us through this quarantine and get through it. And so like they had drinks out, red cups in the park. Like it was somebody's birthday.
Oh, okay. Were you drinking?
Yeah, and we like toasted and everything. Like it was so good to see other people.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been in a social situation like that since it started, and I was like, I'm usually like really reserved and really shy, and I was just like, hey everybody, air hugs, air hugs. Like I was just so excited to see everybody. And it just reminded me how like this whole thing has made me remember how much I'm not as much of an introvert as I thought I was. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I was in a social situation yesterday. It was only supposed to be, so I got invited to this kickback, but it was only supposed to be like a handful of people, right? There was one guy that got invited, like literally invited all his friends. Like seriously, like it was like you would have thought it was his party, just because he had most people there were because he invited them. He got carried away.
That's
so
funny.
like to the point I was like I'm like ready to leave now.
Damn.
Yeah, like
Where was this held? Outside?
no, in this girl's apartment.
So you're experiencing people like laxing up on the rules also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this police officer knocks on the door. Yesterday, right? Police officer knocks on the door, and after someone had just like puffed a joint or whatever, and put it down. But the police officer knocks on the door. I guess she steps outside in the hallway, and she said, or then she comes back like a couple minutes later saying, "Oh yeah, police officer." He didn't say anyone was saying anything about the noise because it was loud as shit though. I was like y'all just fucking loud. Like why you y'all get so loud?
I mean that would happen when it's not a pandemic. The police would come for being loud.
Yeah, but he was there because he said, "Oh, there was a report of somebody bleeding."
Bleeding?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, but I think he was fishing for something.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was fishing. There was a report of somebody bleeding, whatever. She's like, nobody's bleeding here.
This story is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I think like he was definitely fishing though, because like that doesn't make sense. Like who reports somebody bleeding?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that until today or whatever. I was just like so. In my mind, I was like, why does this dude invite all these people here? Like the whole time, even though it wasn't my
How
house.
many people did this guy invite?
Like literally, like 9 people were there for him. 9 or 10.
Okay, so are these people that you've been hanging out with since before the 9 people came? Were these people that you've been hanging out since the pandemic started?
Well, I hung out with them once before, but like I know them though. But we haven't been around each other since I've only been around them one time since the thing started though.
So it kind of sounds like you have a quarantine crew in a way.
Yeah.
But this guy just really fucked it up.
Yeah,
like,
this guy just.
Yeah. Number one, I would not recommend a party.
Yeah, it's like.
Unless you like know specifically who the people you're inviting have been around.
Yeah, it's like I didn't know what I was walking into. Really. So like when I was there were only like a few people there. I was like, okay, this isn't bad. And then the next thing I know, whatever, it's like you would have thought he lived at the place because he kept going downstairs letting people in and coming right back upstairs. You would have thought he lived at that building.
Should invite me, Roger.
Would you actually?
Actually, I probably wouldn't have gone.
Hey, Hyattsville's not that far. From me.
It was in Pikesville?
Hyattsville.
I would drive to Hyattsville, but at the same time, I'm not about to be around people who I don't know who they've been around.
Yeah.
Like, I've been pretty careful.
But he claimed that they were all, like he's in the military.
Yeah.
So and I guess apparently they have to get tested regularly.
That's the caveat that I'm missing. I'm like, why would you have a party? Okay, yeah.
So
that sounds pretty safe.
But still.
Yeah.
That would like it's not your house.
Yeah.
I guess another thing I wanted to address though was it's like with these states reopening, everyone's saying, oh well, it's a mistake, there's gonna be a spike in cases, whatever. Which I think whether you open today, right? Whether every state decided tomorrow, or let's just say Tuesday, every state was gonna open on Tuesday, or you wait till July, every state's gonna open in July. Mm-hmm. Like there's gonna be a spike in cases no matter when you open.
Well, no, I disagree with that, Roger. If you have certain mitigation efforts in place to curb that, you won't see a spike. You'll see a spike if you open up and you don't have those things in place, and then you're gonna have to restrict things again. Yeah.
No, I don't necessarily. I don't agree with that. Like I think that. I just think that if whether it's today or whether it's tomorrow, because for the people that may have it that we don't know have it, right? For the people that aren't showing any symptoms, whatever, and they're still able to give it to other people, right? When you say mitigation basically means to me is okay, we have the things in place to be able to treat this if something happens now, right?
No, there's different types of mitigation. At the very least, we need to have contact tracing in place. Without treatment, without a vaccine, we're relying on contact tracing. And contact tracing is a decent way of managing it. It's not the
Like
preferred
so,
way.
like so. Oh, well, if you touch that, whatever. Like, I just gotta make sure that I don't touch something.
Oh, no.
Like that.
Contact tracing is kind of like, let's say you attend a party and someone there had COVID-19. A contact tracer would reach out to you and say, I got your name from a list of someone who was diagnosed with COVID-19. So, are you experiencing any symptoms? Or like someone, let's say you're experiencing symptoms and you're diagnosed with COVID-19, a contact tracer will kind of like support you through the process of quarantining yourself until you're asymptomatic and you can't pass it on to anybody else. Like that's how, so I'm taking a class on this because I want to be a contact tracer online on Coursera, it's free. And something like,
but like, how was it like? Maybe you can explain to me. Like how was just being inside how was just being inside or do you just make sure that I don't if I
because
get it?
It's contagious.
Like no, I get that it's contagious, whatever. But like so, I just sit inside twiddling my thumbs for 2 weeks, and then now it's gone now.
It's
That's
gone
what I don't understand.
when you stop having symptoms without taking medication.
But it's like, what if you never? But one, there's no medication, and two, is like, what if I never had any symptoms to begin with?
So wait. Good question. So good question about not having any symptoms. Even if you don't have any symptoms, you're able to pass it. So it would be important for you to quarantine until you test negative. So the other thing you asked, what was it?
Just just sit
no, there's no medication.
Yeah.
Even if there's not any medication to directly treat COVID-19, it's like a typical cold thing, It's like cold symptoms. So you're gonna be taking stuff. It might not be COVID-19 medication, but you're gonna be taking stuff for let's say you get a fever, or let's say you have a cough, stuff like that. So if you're taking, let's say, NyQuil, and you've been diagnosed with COVID-19, and you're staying at home, a contact tracer isn't going to tell you to go to the hospital until you have maybe issues breathing or something like that. Like most people, it's going to pass right through you. It's for most people. It's not extreme. I suspect for most people. But if it gets to a point where it is extreme, I've heard it's very difficult to manage. Yeah, it's really important for people to quarantine because one thing I've learned from this course is so if you control COVID-19 by quarantining properly, the rate at which you spread the virus, let's say the average rate is something like 1 to 2. On average, COVID-19 is going to be spread to 1 to 2 people. But if you attend a concert or go to a conference while you have it, and it jumps up to 3, that exponentially impacts the amount of people that are affected by it. By not a rate of 1, but an exponential rate. So to keep it at 1 or 2, preferably 1 is great. But let's say you do things that increase your exposure to maybe 4 or 5 or something like that. You should see the graph. It just shoots up. So many people are affected by just one person not quarantining themselves correctly.
All right. So to that, I said so with this quarantine. I read an article, right? And
yeah.
I think this was New York Times, I believe. It was New York Times. No, or was it Forbes? New York Times or Forbes, something like that. But in New York, I guess Cuomo said that most of most of the people that were testing positive for the virus were quarantining themselves anyways already.
Yeah.
So if the coronavirus started or whatever, so everyone to stay at home, so quarantine yourself for 14 days at least, whatever. And these people that are checking themselves in the hospital because they're experiencing symptoms,
yeah.
But they were already quarantined though. So how does that make any sense?
Right. That's why it's a disease. It's an airborne disease. That's why we wear masks. You're not necessarily wearing a mask because you want to protect yourself. you're doing it so you can protect others.
Right.
So let's say that I'm asymptomatic. Water droplets from me talking can impact someone else that might respond to having COVID-19 in a more extreme way than I've responded to it. Like, I totally, completely would not be surprised if I had it. Because I haven't been like crazy about restricting myself and cutting myself off from people. I mean, I think if I was really being on top of things, you do deliveries.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be around you.
Right.
But I haven't been. I've been kind of somewhat lax. I know some people that have pre-existing conditions
Right.
that have been crazy. Like, they haven't seen anybody. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think wearing a mask is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Even if most people are asymptomatic. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like well, this article I read said, you know, people that were even though they were quarantining themselves and hadn't been around anybody, they still caught it and went to the hospital. Even while they were in quarantine.
Well, that should show you how contagious it is.
But how would they get it if they were quarantined though?
Roger, this thing could have been around way before the quarantine started. I suspect, like, honestly, I noticed a spike in people getting sick this whole past year, maybe the past 2 years. I was the sickest I've ever been last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was so sick that I told a friend I had a cold or whatever, and they just seriously had to sit me down and be like, "Jen, do you need to go to the hospital?" I've never been that sick. And so this thing has probably been around way before the pandemic started. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think I even said this in an earlier episode, whatever. Like, I think this was here way before. I think it was here even before the shit in China or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I think that shit was already here.
Yeah.
But I guess with that said, we're gonna be right back talking about the flood in Michigan.
If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now.
Tim, did you hear about this flood in
No,
Michigan?
I didn't hear about it.
But so you heard about the flood?
Of course, yeah.
How did you hear about it?
So, I have a bad habit of checking my Facebook in the morning. And I saw a post from a girl I grew up with in Midland, who I played softball with. And I was just like, whoa. And she posted some type of GPS aerial picture. It was something, I have to go back and look, but I was like, okay, this seems kind of serious. And then I started noticing it made like BBC, CNN, yeah.
It was really bad. So I found out because like my mom texted me and said she texted me early in the morning. I think it was like last Monday. It was when it happened. I think texted me early in the morning and said, "Hey Roger, I just want to let you know, there was a little flooding in Midland, but me and Dad are okay. We didn't have to evacuate or whatever, right?" I said, like, "How are you?" Whatever. And I was like, I'm good, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, when I woke up, whatever. So then I went on, like, you went on Facebook and I started seeing like articles from like CNN, Fox News,
Yeah.
like Yahoo, talking about Midland or whatever. Then I put a message on my Facebook. I said, "Michigan friends, are y'all good?"
Yeah.
Whatever, right? And then I had friends that commented on the post, like showing me videos and pictures of like what happened and how serious it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I even saw I probably saw the same video you did, like the aerial view of the flooding.
Mm-hmm.
And like my high school was like underwater. Like I don't think it was that bad, well, at least from my mom explaining it. So then when I got up earlier and I started seeing more and more videos,
Yeah.
I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, y'all good?" She's like, "Yeah, we're good. We didn't have to evacuate because they lived in an area of Midland that wasn't hit like that."
probably higher ground.
Yeah, it might have been higher.
I think I remember where you lived. Did you live near Kiana?
Yeah, like
Okay.
kind of like you remember Swede Road?
Mm-hmm.
She lived on like she lived on the right side. If you're coming up towards like I guess if you're what's the name of that street? But so she lived in one neighborhood on the right side. I lived in the neighborhood on the left side. But depending on which way you're coming from, though. Like if you're coming from the movie theater, you remember if you're coming from the movie theater back towards Kiana's house.
What about the fun zone? Where would you live in proximity to the fun zone?
Fun zone. I don't
Do you
know.
remember?
I don't know.
How do you forget the fun zone? Wait, I might be calling it the wrong thing. It was like a big deal when they built that park, and it was like.
Oh, the like gymnastic thing inside.
No, it was like a wooden structure, and it was a playground.
Was it
It
outside?
was a big deal, and people got to put their hands in the cement around it when it was built. It was outside. We used to call it like the fun zone or something like that. It was a big deal. But you guys lived in that part of town.
Yeah. Like you remember where the Celebration Center was?
I don't remember about that.
I'm trying to, so let's say if you're coming from Midland High School, right? If you're coming up Swede Road, like the very last right turn you can make, right? Kiana lived in that neighborhood. And the very last left turn you can make before you hit the curve.
Oh, I barely remember that much. You're
Okay.
going real deep.
Yeah. Like I lived in the left side.
Okay.
But anyways, but essentially I could walk to her house if I wanted to.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess that part of Michigan did not, or that part of Midland did not, wasn't affected at that. But my parents had friends.
Careful.
But my parents had friends that had to evacuate,
Yeah.
and I guess they had a whole bunch of. I forget the term they used, but I guess they're like safe stations or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Like throughout Midland,
Yeah.
where I saw a picture of was it the community center? It was somewhere where they just had like a whole bunch of cots, just like in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, I saw pictures of Midland High. They had like supplies maybe set up in Midland High.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Midland High was one of them actually. Community center might have been one. I think.
It's just so.
I think there was a church that was one too.
What church?
I can't remember which church it was.
It's just so unfortunate that had to happen during a pandemic.
Yeah. To make matters worse, and then I even heard that Trump was like blocking the funding to aid Michigan in this
Yeah.
because of
He's
something.
got beef with the governor.
Yeah, something to do with the absentee ballots or something like that. I think.
I can't remember, but basically the governor of Michigan is one of those strong women that Trump does not like. And he makes it very obvious.
Yeah.
I think the Attorney General the Attorney General of Michigan said on the news that Trump wasn't allowed back in Michigan or something like that.
Oh, for real?
Which is funny.
Oh, man, but so I hope everyone in Michigan is doing all right. Hope everyone is safe. You said there were no deaths, right?
No deaths.
No deaths, so that's good.
It's amazing.
But if you know anyone from Midland, Michigan, or anywhere in that area, check on them. Well, it'll probably just be me and you checking on people, but anyways, we will be back with Tim's Talk. This is the Dry Cereal Podcast.
Alright. So today on Tim's Talk, I want to talk about a couple of things that I think are related to things that people have been experiencing, especially since this pandemic, but they might apply to even outside of the pandemic. I listened to this podcast called Therapy for Black Girls because I'm very pro mental health awareness. So on this episode, she invited someone on the show to explain loneliness because that's something that a lot of people are experiencing because of the pandemic, because we're so quarantined and cut off from everybody else and things that we're used to doing. And so it was so interesting. And it coincided with an issue I've been having for a long time, but particularly in the past couple years, around friendships. So she described there being 3 types of loneliness, and I believe this was like a psychologist. So it's something that you can believe. There's research that's been done on it. So she said there's 3 types of loneliness. There's loneliness that's called intimate loneliness, which is like people who crave usually like a romantic, intimate connection. And then there's like interpersonal loneliness, which is people who miss like interacting with people on a day-to-day basis at work, like shallow interactions. How are you doing? Just like kind of like shooting the shit. And then there's communal loneliness, which is when you don't feel like you're a part of a community. So it got me thinking about friendships that I've had, particularly recently. There's something about being on the East Coast where I feel like people are different. It's like I really value my friendships like you, Roger, of people that I knew before I moved here, because I kind of feel like people that are from the Midwest, people that are from the South, they don't have some of the same personality traits that people in the East Coast are kind of drawn to.
Yeah.
Or that are kind of shaped by living in a fast-paced East Coast competitive type of environment. So basically, I had a conversation with a friend about this podcast, and I explained the 3 different types of loneliness. And my issue was, I've been wondering if I'm friends with certain people just because I'm trying to fill a void, or because I'm lonely. Because there are certain people in my life who I value and I think very highly of, especially as it relates to like different aspects of their personality. But I have issues with them. I'm just kind of like, yo, are you a good person? Like sometimes I question that. And I don't remember ever really questioning that with friends I had before I moved here.
Right.
So basically what we arrived at during that conversation was that there are different types of friends. And just like we love family members who we might have issues with, you can still love and have a relationship with friends who you have issues with, but just you should be able to put that friendship in a category of like, you understand what the shortcomings are of that person or the shortcomings of that relationship, and you kind of work around that. So I think during this quarantine, it's really important for people to focus on their social interactions. Like I'm really impressed with people who have come up with like a quarantine crew. I've heard this referred to as pods. Like I think there's research on this also, that it's important to maintain your mental health during your quarantine by creating groups of people that you have very intentionally set out to interact with. And I just think that's really profound, because friendship, like any relationship, can be really, really complicated. But life is really long, meaning people are going to have opportunities to change for the better or the worse over time. And also I think life is very short, and it's kind of like, do you really want to be totally alone? And life is like that. So, that conversation along with that podcast really helped me to feel more comfortable navigating some of my friendships that are a little bit more unstable. Because
it's like making you like question in a sense.
No, I was already questioning the friendship, but I'm more okay with the friendship because I've realized that interacting with people and relationships in general, it's not as black and white as we tend to think it is. It's like you either like the person or you don't like the person. Right. Like you can love somebody and not like certain qualities they have. You can like somebody and not like certain qualities they have. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. I just think personally, when you catch yourself maybe not staying true to yourself because of a friendship, that's a red flag. Like I think you should exit a relationship when you feel like it's diminishing certain core things that you appreciate about yourself. And I just think it's really important for us moving forward, because who knows how long this is gonna last? Who knows what aspects of our lifestyle are gonna be permanently altered because of this pandemic? And all of that applies to relationships. So I think this quarantine and this pandemic is gonna cause us to rethink a lot of things, including relationships and friendships.
Yeah.
So my advice to people out there is really be intentional about who you choose to spend time with, not just during the quarantine, but in life in general. And understand that, friendship can be very gray. Not black and white, but gray, but in between. But the most important thing is that, in my opinion, you're there to kind of like help that person grow. So if you're in like a gray relationship and the bad is starting to outweigh the good, that might be time to exit. Or if you're in a gray relationship and you don't feel like you're able to help that person get better, or you don't feel like they're able to help you get better, that might be an opportunity that might be a reason to exit a relationship.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think people stay in relationships, whether they're romantic relationships or just friendly relations, or like just like your friends, because like they're used to it.
Yeah.
Almost as like they don't, and they've been friends for so long, whatever. It's kind of like, well, that's
Exactly.
like that's just how they are.
It's like a routine.
Yeah.
Even if the routine isn't serving you, you still want it there because we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
So that's my Tim talk. It's not super long, but I think it's useful.
Yeah, it was very insightful of you.
Thank you. I've had a lot of time to think.
Good. Can't wait till the next Tim talk. This is the Dry Cereal Podcast, and we'll be right back with the positive thoughts. Alright guys, today's positive thoughts comes from Anonymous. Right? To live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. Yeah.
I like that.
But I think that being wrong, or wrong in a sense, but also, like, I think people just need to eliminate the fear of failure, because failure is a part of life. Like, not everyone, like, obviously people don't want to fail, but failing is how you learn.
Yeah.
Right, so I just think that, whatever you want to do, obviously just know there's going to be a learning curve with anything you want to do, whether you want to be a rapper or a singer or a painter or a comedian, or like whatever you do. Even with being a teacher, I'm sure there was a learning curve for you to learn while you were teaching.
You would never think it.
Yeah.
People think teaching is the easiest thing in the world, but trust me.
I could never teach. Like I'm not patient enough to be a teacher. But like I'll say it again, to live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. So that is today's positive thought, and we will be back next week with episode 10 of the Dry Cereal Podcast. Oh, before we leave though, you can follow me on Instagram at Radish Neighborhood, and you can follow Jatem at
_JETAIMEC.
or the Dry Cereal Media on Instagram as well. We'll be back next week with episode 10.